On the show today, Aaron Edwards has a field day for Pines. Somerville climbs over the top of Rye in 2nd Division. We visit Sorrento for their big match against Edithvale Aspendale. A new segment is introduced, Memory Lane, and our first guest will be a key part of the GameFace Footy Show, one of the greats of this league, Tony Blackford. Also leading goal kicker in the 2nd Division, Jesse Murphy from Langwarrin will join us. And despite a tough day at the office on the weekend, Brad Sykes from 1st Division team Bonbeach pops in. And as he will every week, boxing great Barry Michael is on to update us on the No Regrets Boxing Challenge on later in the year as the players queue up to have a crack in the ring. So let's get stuck into it. Welcome to the GameFace Footy Show, week 2, and what a week it's been in footy in the MPNFL. We're looking forward to what's going to be a sensational show tonight. As you've just heard, lots on the show, lots to talk about. Let's welcome our panel. It is a massive panel. We've got Tony Blackford with us. Welcome, Black. It's good to have you with us again.
Yeah, it's good to be back, Dan. And gee, you got around the grounds last week, mate. I met you for the first time last week, but you've been to nearly every club on the peninsula.
Well, we'll talk about that in just a second. Chris Holcomb is going to be part of the panel every week. He was away last week, just having the greatest time in the world, whining and dining in Monaco. So the great Daniel Ricciardo when his 2nd Grand Prix of the year. Welcome, Chris. Good to have you with us as well.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, it was a tough week, but I got through it, mate.
I'm sure you did. And it's been a very, very tough week for our coach of Rye, Josh. He joins us once again, of course, going through the team of the week for the under-19s. And it'll be 1st Division this week, but Josh, we'll get to you shortly. But we have to talk about the war soon, but welcome to you as well.
Thanks, Dan. Good to be back, and look forward to dissecting the week in footy.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge show, as I said, and it's been a big, big week. Now, just before we look at the big issues of the week, as Black has said, we've been everywhere this week. It's been like lucky star. Thanks to all the clubs that have allowed us the opportunity.
And we've got a lot of support, Dan.
Yeah, we do. Lots of support. And thanks to all the support, all the people that have been watching us on the GameFace app and watched the first footy show and allowed us, of course, to Pines, to Frankston YCW, to Sorrento, to Dramana. We've been everywhere, and all the clubs have been great, and they've welcomed us with open arms. And we'll do a bit more of that as the year goes on. It's been good to get a bit of a feel of what is a tremendous competition. Lots to talk about, guys, as I said. Aaron Edwards, 13 goals, 20 in the last 2 weeks. Pines have now won 5 in a row. Blackers, they're going well.
It's great for the Pines Footy Club, but it's also great for Aaron Edwards. He came back from that knee injury probably a couple of weeks too early. Well, maybe not too early. The doctor gave him the all clear, but he did come back and he was a little bit underdone, but he's really worked his way back into this competition. And 20 goals in the last 2 weeks. Wowee. Well done to Aaron Edwards. And Paddy Swain always said to me that Pines would be a better side second half of the year, Dan.
Well, they lost their first 4, Chris, and won their last 5. With Aaron Edwards there, are they almost unbeatable?
Well, no, they're not unbeatable, but they took a while to get going. You got to forget they had Bonbeach was out as well.
Yeah.
He had a 2-week suspension from last year, Dan.
Yeah, when they have those 2 out, it just dries up their focal point. Their midfield was still producing, but they weren't getting a result on the board. But it just makes them so much more dangerous. Not unbeatable, because they've still got a lot of work to do in some other places, but they're well on the way to final football. Now,
Josh Moore, I said I'd mention the war. You were, what, almost 5 goals up deep in the last quarter in your match against Sorrento at home at Rye. You'd lost a narrow one the week before. What happened?
Yeah, it was a tough day at the office. We as you said, we got out to 24 points in front in the last quarter. And we were a little bit depleted in that last quarter, but so was Somerville, so it's not an excuse. But when you lose all your rotations and you're a couple of key players down, it does hurt at the end of the day.
Players need to dig deep at that stage, Josh, don't they?
Yeah, 100%. I said at 3/4 time we had to grind. We were slightly in front at 3/4 time. We had to grind out the last quarter, and we were grinding, but we just couldn't quite grind to the end. And a couple of their star players in Timmy McGuinness and Nathan Gillis, they really stood up for them in the last quarter, and I'm sure Andreas Everett to be really proud of his 2 superstar mids to really step up in that last 2 minutes.
And the leaders of their club too.
Yeah,
they really stood up in that last quarter to really drive everything.
Yeah, and that's what leadership is, isn't it? Getting your team over the line when it's really close in the last quarter. Something that I hope that we can learn from. Hope that my leaders can learn from it. They saw firsthand how Somerville did it. That's something we can learn from for sure.
You guys are all coaches. When there's a momentum swing, are you almost powerless to stop it? Did you feel almost powerless, Josh, to stop it on the weekend?
Well, to be honest, we train for it. We train for momentum swings. We train for the opposition to be coming home at us. We train for a thing we called red time. I'm sure all the coaches have trained for it as well. So it's not as if we hadn't been prepared for it. We just couldn't execute our plan properly at the end of the day.
You know, the thing as a coach, Chris, and you're in a helpless position when there is momentum swing, Dan. And the thing is, when you lose a game like that, like you did on the weekend, Josh, it's not about the actual loss, because you wake up Sunday morning and you're still stewing on it. You wake up Tuesday morning and you're still stewing on it.
How do you get over it though? I mean, you're the coach, you've got to lead your team.
Well, yeah. Well, then on Tuesday night, you've got to be up and about and try and take as many positives out of that game as you can, because you were 28 points up at, you know, so you've got to say, well, how did we get to that stage? And then we've just got to fix issues like we did on the weekend.
I think you're spot on, Blackers. I think as a senior coach, you stew on it. It's really hard to sleep Saturday night. You wake up Sunday morning. They say the sun comes up on a Sunday morning, and it certainly does, but...
did it come up for you on Sunday morning, Josh, or was it just grey in the Moore household?
It's very blurry.
Oh, it's not a good feeling at all. It's really hard to deal with. It really isn't. It's like a kick in the guts, and it sits with you for a long time. I've read a really good article from Mick Malthouse in last Sunday's Herald Sun, and he was touching on that very fact that as a coach, you stew on it for 7 days until the next game
Opportunity
comes.
for you.
But Blackers is 100% right in what he said. On Tuesday night, you have to get up in front of the group, be positive, and we've got a massive game against Chelsea. It doesn't get any easier. It's a really even competition. So we have to be really positive and get ourselves up for that game, and I'm sure that we will respond this week.
Now, Chris, 3 in a row for YCW.
Yeah.
Lots as that is. Doesn't happen too often.
No.
Is it crisis for them?
And it's not so much crisis, but people have got to understand that they're not the same team they were the last 2 or 3 years. Those guys that went away and played VFL and came back for those final series, they won't get a lot of those back at the end of the year. No, they won't.
What are they going to play? 3 games, though, mate?
Well, no,
not so much.
They've got to play the 3 games, but what's happened in the past? They haven't played their 11 games at the VFL.
Yeah.
So LaFontaine and Anthony Barry and guys like Brun and all that, they've played VFL football in the past, but LaFontaine and Kevin Lilac and all that, they'll play 11 plus games at Frankston, so that means that they won't be able to come back for finals.
No.
And you talk about YC, at the moment they've lost 3 in a row, they'll lose 4 in a row, they'll go down to Sereno this week, and Sereno will beat them, and it'll be a different YC that Sereno faced round 1, because round 1, YCW were at full strength. They were at full strength.
And you've got to remember too, YC have had 2 games against not so much good quality opposition in Seaford and Mornington, where they were trailing a long way at 3/4 time, and their good players just dragged them over the line. Could have quite easily dropped 5 or even 6 for the year to date. So
which would be completely foreign for them. I mean,
100%.
I mean, I caught up with Wayne Capp. We were lucky enough to go to YC. They were fantastic. The way they gave access to himself and all the players, and he was certainly pretty nervous after losing the previous 2. Here's what he had to say. Wayne, a bit of a test for your team. You don't lose 2 in a row very often. Sorry to mention the war, but does that change the way you coach? Do you feel more pressure now?
It's a little bit different, I have to be honest. We're used to being the hunted, if you like, and we feel a little bit like we're the hunters this week against Mount Eliza. But look, we're training the same. We're not going away from what we're doing. Look, I get emotional like everyone else about football, and we want to. I want to get the best out of my team.
So Wayne Capp, 3 in a row now, and his team, they've got to become hunters instead of hunted. Now, Dramana, undefeated boys, they're eyeing off Division 1. What do you think, Josh? I mean, it was a scrappy win, but they got over the line again.
Yeah, they're a pretty slick outfit, Dramana. They're really good, quick running team.
Well structured too, Josh.
Well structured, yeah, really well coached. They set up a full ground press, which a lot of teams in our division struggle to get through, but I'm sure they'll be planning and training for it if they're going to try and beat them in finals. So they've got a lot of even players across the board. They haven't got 6 or 7 stars. They're really well balanced.
And their coach, Ricky Johnson, said after the match, a win's a win. And you can please yourself, you're flying, mate.
Yeah, we've had a decent start to the year. We, you know, we've won some scrappy games of footy, but we're just happy to keep knocking off those wins. So, yeah, another scrappy one today, but we got away with the 4 points, which we're happy, and we'll just keep trying to plug away and win as many as we can to set ourselves up come second half of the year.
Now, what about Bonbeach? Are they gone? We've got Brad Sykes on later in the show. It was a pretty ordinary effort, boys, wasn't it?
I reckon they're really struggling, Bonbeach. They've got McDonald and
Dennis Lane. He did play, but
yeah.
I don't know how fit he was.
Yeah.
They haven't had Tyrrell all year. That's another midfielder out. They just don't look
Jackson
as hungry.
Soul.
They don't look as hungry as they've been the last couple of years. I mean, they've still got a core of players there. They're still getting coached well. They don't look like they've got the hunger that they've had last year.
Yeah, and it's hard, and that can be off 5 or 10%.
Yeah,
Chris, and with this new competition with Rosebud, Sereno, and Frankston, they're all really good sides.
I guess the good thing is it's still early. I know we're coming up to the midway point of the season, but there still is time for them to turn it around. So
it's a big percentage buster for them, though, wasn't it? So they've really got to have some big wins in the back end of the season. But that's what makes the competition so interesting. We'll take a break, and we'll have one of our special guests. Pencon Garden Supplies and Mini Mix Concrete is a family-owned business that has served the Mornington Peninsula magnificently for more than 50 years. For all your garden and building supplies, concrete, soil, sand and mulch, visit Bart and the team at 58 Peninsula Avenue Rye or call 5985 2252 or 5985 2998.
Hey guys, Brad Sykes here from Syes for Sport. So we've been in the Frankston and Mornington Peninsula region for the last 4 years. Starting out as a player at the Frankston Dolphins with my good mate Sammy Fox, and started to get involved with the kids of our region just to try to, you know, effectively get them psyched for sport. And yeah, from there it's grown, and we've worked within school programs and also school holidays. So our aim is to teach kids life skills through sport. Just letting you know about our school holiday program coming up in the July holidays. Looking forward to that with some AFL women and some VFL footballers. Taking you through the skills of the game. Georgia Walker, the Saints captain, Bridie Kennedy from Carlton, Trent Dennis-Lane, obviously a wonderful player for Sydney and St Kilda. People around the area that, like myself, who love the region and developing our youngsters. So open to 5 to 14 year olds, and it's definitely cheaper than childcare. Get them along. Go Syes for Sport.
G'day, I'm Jet Murphy from the Langwarrin Football and Netball Club. Number 8, and I play full forward. Nah, not up for a relationship at the moment. Exercise physiologist at the Sports Injury Clinic, so we look after rehab, post-injuries or chronic diseases. Not really, more the Friday night. I like to eat Thai food, and yeah, that sort of started this year, but not really on game day, no. Mighty Pies and Scott Penderbury. Got too much time, he does. All 8 this year. Yeah, I do. It was back in Warwick against Stall. I believe. Quite nerve-wracking, but yeah, I think we got the win. Playing style, I like to use my speed and strength, so whatever sort of gets me over the line in terms of my opponent, but in terms of an AFL player, or gee, who's a quick full forward, I like to say Buddy Franklin, but I'm a right footer. I like probably winning national championships in under 15s, so that's the only flag I've won, but that was a good feeling. My dad, yeah, we shared a dream of getting to the AFL, but he's always been behind me and every step of the way, so yeah, good footballer himself, he tells me.
Just having a bit of fun with our special guest, as we do with most of our guests. It's a great pleasure to welcome the leading goal kicker from the Langwarrin Football Club in the 2nd Division. And his first year at the club, and he is, well, kicking goals in more ways than one. Jesse Murphy, nicknamed Jet. Good on you, Jesse. Good to have you with us.
Thanks, Dan.
Now, your first year at the club, how are you finding it?
Yeah, good. Definitely in terms of footy, it's been a step up from where I've come from, but and in terms of environment, yeah, great environment down at the Langy Footy Club. So
and you moved into the area you got a job in Frankston, is that right?
Yeah, so end of last year, or finished uni the year before, and moved down here about September last year and got a job in Frankston as an exercise physiologist at the Sports Injury Clinic. So yeah, it's going well too.
And how did the opportunity come about for you to go to Langwarrin? I mean, plenty of footy clubs down this neck of the woods, so I'm sure there would have been a few to
the
choose
word
from.
sort of got around pretty quickly, I suppose.
Doesn't take long.
from the girls at reception, friends of friends, and yeah, I think I spoke to a handful of clubs and ended up choosing Langy in the end. So
why?
More money down there, probably. Is that right, Jesse?
Well, it's probably a good fit for you, Jess, because you've moved into the area. You're living more locally, aren't you? Yeah. And with your roster, it's a really good fit because it's just down the road. Yeah,
that's right. So Thursday night I finish my shift and go straight to training after there. So yeah, in terms of that, it's good. But I chose Langy. I think after speaking to a few clubs, I ended up having a Sunday session with some of the boys they invited me down to, and Shawnee Herdman, you can thank him, I think. So, what
about the golf game with Blake McCormack? How'd that go?
Smashed him. Got to about the 7th hole, and I sort of decided, before going to hit a golf with him, that I'd sign there, and I think it was about hole 7.
Did you tell him? Did you on hole 7?
I think he hit a shocking drive, and I sort of wanted to cheer him up with the fact that I was going to play at Langy next year for the upcoming season. But yeah. He was pretty excited, dropped his sticks and jumped on me and gave me a big hug, I think. So.
Did you get close to signing with another club, or you always felt Langwarrin was leading the race?
I sort of shortlisted a few and got down to a couple, and it was a pretty tough choice in the end, but I think just the gut feeling in the end, I think...
that's what you got to do, Jess.
That's right.
Two coaches, you've got a non-playing coach, Josh Beard, you've got a playing coach, Blake McCormack. How do the dynamics work there?
Well, obviously playing coach, he's out in the field, so Joshy does a fair bit of the board and sort of sees a lot more than Blakey does. Blakey sort of just plays his role as the leader in the back line and whatnot.
Does he give you a spray, Josh? Or
hasn't probably needed to, Dan. He's doing his job.
No, he's doing his job. So, yeah. No, I'm talking the whole team.
Yeah, he can. We've had a couple of shockers here.
Josh is a pretty upfront bloke, and he'll give a spray if he needs to give a spray.
What were your expectations going into the year? I mean, you're leading the goal kicking at the moment, halfway into your first season.
Expectations are probably, I was a bit nervous going to a new club and sort of being that recruit, the name goes around a bit, but I don't want to put any pressure on myself, just go out there. I think it took me a couple of games to get used to how quick it was compared to where I've come from.
And you had an injury interrupted pre-season, didn't you, Jess?
Yeah, slightly had a bit of a knee niggle. Had to get used to the hard grounds and that, but Did you get some good treatment anywhere? Yeah, at the Sports Injury Clinic.
Oh, okay.
And the Penn Highway 365.
Yeah, give it a plug. Now, where did you come from? Where was your last club that you played at?
Last year went back to Warwick. Warwick Eagles is my home club, played all my juniors there.
So the standard in the MPNFL is better than the Wimmera?
Yeah, much better, I think. Right. In terms of the rankings, I think Wimmera are about 17th or something like that. But they've got some good players down there.
And you spent some time in Ballarat, didn't you? Obviously doing your uni. And
had a good coach, didn't
you? You came across one of the all-time greats and a good mate of mine in Fitzy, Gerald Fitzgerald. He's a terrific fellow, isn't he? What makes him such a great coach?
I think just his concepts with footy. He's just got a very smart footy brain. Just knows the ins and outs of footy, and all his tactics are quite simple to follow. And yeah, like it's implemented on the footy field's not of a great deal of difficulty either. So, and a real people's person as well. And I think I learned a lot of footy. I learnt from him. So, I've used all my philosophies when I've helped out coaches and that, just from what I've learnt from him and the North Ballarat Roosters there.
It's a great program, isn't it? I mean, they call themselves the Great Western Region Rebels now, don't they? Which I reckon is terrific because you've got Hamilton, you've got Warrnambool, and it's not just Ballarat, is it? Anymore.
Yeah,
Horsham
right.
as well.
So there's a lot of people in the country areas. They actually go to boarding school, which I did as well, in Ballarat, just to bring yourself in the network, so you can get the training a lot easier. So all those Hamilton, Warrnambool, Warwick boys out there, if you're not in Ballarat, that boarding school, you have to travel down every Thursday. So just being in that, right in Ballarat in the heart of it, makes it a lot easier. Yeah, that's right.
Well, you're with Langwarrin now. You are absolutely firing, and your team's going okay. We'll talk more about the game against Dramana on the weekend. It was a real slog for Dramana to remain undefeated. Langwarrin simply took it up to them, and we'll come back and talk more about that shortly on the GameFace Footy Show. Division 2 goal kickers brought to you by Outside the Locker Room. Jesse Murphy from Langwarrin kicked 3. He's on 33, 1 goal in front of Curtis Bywater of Chelsea on 32. He also booted 3. Luke Hewitt of Hastings kicked 4. He's 27. Ethan Johnston of Dramana 2 to go to 26. And Billy Rolfe is also on 26 from Somerville after kicking 2 in their narrow victory over Rye. In the reserves, Richard Mathers from Coringal 5 to move to 24. Scott Sterling's also on 24. He did lead by 1 before the previous round. He kicked 4 for Rye. And Andrew Silva getting himself in contention on 18 after a 10-goal haul for Chelsea. In the under-19s, the goal kickers, and doing well is Logan Sanford, Red Hill, 4 goals to move to 25. Ryan McNamara from Coringal didn't kick any on the weekend, remains on 24. Jay Treep from Coringal, 4 to go to 23. And Ben Tovey of Dramana, he didn't kick any, he's on 22.
Websites, videos, Google marketing, SEO. What do you need for your business? Call the team at Chill, they really know their stuff.
St Andrews Brewery, using the finest ingredients, ensuring each beer is full of flavour and character. The closest game in Division 2 was Somerville, coming from behind to stun Rye at home after the Demons led by almost 4 goals with less than 10 minutes left. And playing coach Andreas Everett was off for Somerville with injury, but the Eagles had self-belief to get over the line. Dramana remains on top and undefeated after a scrappy win over a gallant Langwarrin. Chelsea, after a 1-point defeat last week, thrashed Crew Point. Coringal has just 1 loss, proving too good for Tyab. And Hastings toppled Devon Meadows. Great round of footy in Division 2. The match that we are looking at, Langwarrin and Dramana, and our special guest. Good to have him with us, Jesse Murphy, who leads the goal kicking for Langwarrin and in the competition so far. How many goals have you kicked, Jesse?
31.
31. I
They
believe
all know.
32,
They all know.
shouldn't it?
Yeah, no, I got jib 1 against Devon Meadows, but yeah, we'll have to look at the
You
vision
got
for that
jib
one.
1?
Yeah, put down as 4.
How did they do that?
That's a team manager's fault, I think.
I got into Ron about that.
How would you describe your performance against Dramana, who of course are still undefeated?
Personally or team-wise?
Team-wise?
Team-wise, yeah, no. We certainly went in with a lot of confidence after the win against Chelsea. So
it's a great last quarter against Chelsea, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, it was. It was a good feeling to get over the line there. But yeah, coming to Dramana, took that the momentum in, and yeah, I think the first half we were in it. We had a really good last 10 minutes of the first half and kept ourselves in it at half time. And
not scoring a goal in the third quarter hurt you, and sometimes your execution going forward really let you down.
Yes, it can be quite frustrating as a forward, can't it? We knew they were going to get a run on at some stage. It's just whether we could weather the storm.
Are they the best team that you've come up against, Dramana, so far, do you think?
Yeah, I think in terms of structures and that, they're very, very tough to play against. Rye was obviously the other one that won fair and square. We felt like we were in. The rest of the games we felt like we were in all year. So apart from those two that we lost, yeah, I think those two are the 2 toughest teams we come up against.
What are you lacking, you think, to stop you from going to the next level at the moment?
Probably experience. I mean, we're a really young team. I think that's part of the reason why I went to Langwarrin. Average age of about 22 years last year, and I'm 24, and yeah, sort of thought get a few years under their belts and 50 games plus on all the boys on the list, and you keep them. Then all of a sudden, most players are around 100 games and experienced players. Then but we make some silly mistakes here and there, but they learn from it, and we do the vision and. Yeah, that's what the vision.
You've got a couple of young guns. Have you taken a couple of those under your wing? I know you've got Kai Whitford, who played Interleague under 19s, probably a similar sort of player, key forward. Have you taken a few of those younger guys under your wing coming into the club? Yeah,
more so the forward line players. Yeah, Kai, he's a strong-bodied, quite tall player. He can play anywhere really. I think we play him off the half back and the wing as well. He knows his footy. But yeah, being a young player, I really like to work with the young ones and that myself. So. he's got a positive future coming, and I think he can cement a spot in our team, that's for sure.
It just seems like it's a place that has a different attitude now, that new ideas, and that can often reinvigorate a football club, can't it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk about a reset and a one club type hashtag that they put on their Facebook posts and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely been, even just talking to the boys around the club, it's definitely been a year that's much more ahead of what was last year. Positive environment, everyone's together, the functions are good, the netball's on board, and yeah, it's a club that's going forward, that's for sure.
They've got a wonderful junior football club, Dan.
One of the best?
Yeah, them and Mount Eliza have got over 25 or 26 junior clubs. Junior teams, sorry.
That's amazing.
It's a lot of, and
What's
they're well
under 10s up to what, under 18s?
and they're well structured. Like Langwarren's got the big oval, and then ovals 2 and 3. They've got wonderful club rooms and all that sort of stuff. Wonderful lighting.
Now, Jesse, most important question: have you got the GameFace app?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
You look at it all the time for the scores?
Yeah.
Straight after the game?
Yeah, pretty much. I worry about our scores first, but yeah.
Now, Blackers, what sort of feedback did you get from your team of the week last week? There's a lot of pressure on you, isn't there?
Oh, no pressure on me, mate. It's,
no pressure on you?
Nah, it's more on Glenn.
You are a laid-back individual, aren't you?
Yeah, it's more on Glenn because I don't get the apps and all that sort of stuff, Dan. So
haven't you got the app uploaded?
No. I don't know how to do it, Dan.
Well, we'll show you.
It's technology.
What are you working with? You've got to know how to do it.
So there was so I've made 5 changes this week. So outs go McInnes, Hayden, Fletcher, Ben Holmes and Mathers. So in comes Paxton, Clark. Jono Ross has kicked 4, 4 and 4 from Red Hill. Grant Goodall comes in as the number 1 ruckman, and Wheeler out onto the wing. So my side this week is Paxton, Kirkwood and Patterson on the back line. From the half back line is Terran Head, Jonah Siverson, and in comes Brad Clark from Chelsea, who's been in really good solid form. Terry Wheeler out on that wing, Gardner from Chelsea and Jocka Mitchell from Red Hill. The forward line didn't change at all. Burke from Coringal, Tommy Baker and Luke Hewitt from Hastings Football Club. And the full forward line of Bywater, Murphy sitting next to me, and Ethan Johnson. He kicked 3 as well last week from Germana. Goodall comes in as the number 1 ruckman. McGuinness and Nathan Gillis comes into the side. He kicked 3 as a midfielder last week. So Sean Foster, I think that Sean Foster might have injured himself last week. So
broke his ribs.
2 ribs and punctured a lung. So I think he's going to be in a bit of trouble. So I didn't find that out until late.
5 weeks.
Yeah, so he's in the side this week, but I don't think Sean will be in there next week. Brain from Chelsea, Jake Mould has been in really good form. Jono Ross has been in outstanding form. Harry Pryor was in Pearsedale's best with getting defeated by 100 points last week, and Billy Quigley remains in the side. He's been unlucky not to be in the starting side.
Can I just ask you guys, I mean, there are some matches that have been a bit one-sided in second division. Is that a bit of a concern going forward? Especially the second half of the year?
To be honest, I think it's, if you compare it to last year, I think the competition this year is a lot more competitive, especially up at the top. I know there's a couple of teams down the bottom that are struggling a little bit at the moment, but I think they're more competitive than what they were last year. And up the top of the ladder, Sorrento last year were an absolute standout.
They were a standout, Josh.
They're almost unbeatable, I thought. They only lost.
Chris Dawes said they'd be winning games by 100 points.
Yeah, 100 points.
They only lost 1 game for the year last year, and I know Dramana is undefeated, and I don't want to choke on my words, but I think they are beatable, Dramana. I mean, Langwarren got close to them on the weekend. They beat us by 3 goals. They are getting the job done, but I think they're not the Sorrento of last year.
No, and neither is Coringal, and neither is Chelsea, and they're the top 3. And you go.
Coringal beat Red Hill by a point last week.
Yeah, that's right.
So what it does is it gives teams like Somerville, Langwarren, and Rye real hope and opportunity to make the top 5 come the end of the year. So
there's 8 sides in it, Josh, isn't there?
Yeah.
It goes down to 8.
Well, there's 12 teams in the competition. I think 8 teams can genuinely make the finals this year.
So Jesse, you think it's pretty even? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we go into every game, think can't just get an easy win or anything. So I think that's good for footy anyway.
Well, congratulations on your season so far. It's been absolutely sensational. You are flying. Your team's going pretty well, been very competitive in every match. Good luck for the rest of the season, and thanks for joining us on the GameFace Footy Show. Thanks, and coming up next on the program, we'll have a good look at Division 1, and our special guest will be Brad Sykes from Bonbeach, who unfortunately for them had a shocker on the weekend. Division 2 best players brought to you by Pencon Garden Supplies. Billy Quickly of Dramana on 27, from Jai Lloyd of Rye on 26. It's pretty tight at the top. Tyrone Head of Rye 26, Nathan Gillis of Somerville on 26, and Brendan Doyle of Tyab making up the top 5 on 25. In the reserves, looking at their best players so far after 8 rounds, and it's pretty tight there as well. Scott Sterling, he's on 28 from Rye. Lucas Litch, he's from Devon Meadows on 24. Cody Ware from Hastings on 22, and Jackson Stapleton from Somerville, he's also on 22. And the under-19 best, Tristan Gugliano from Crib Points on 42, has an 11-vote lead over the rest of the field. Lockie Cox is second from Tyab on 31, Brad Kelly of Devon Meadows 30, Nathan McLean from Devon Meadows on 29, Will Hose from Tyab on 28, and Peter McGee from Hastings, he's on 27. What's the last thing you ate?
Last thing I ate was a tomato and cheese toastie, because this month I'm going vegetarian.
What do you reckon you spend the most money on?
I don't even know. Probably food, unfortunately, as you can probably tell.
What do you never leave home without?
Never leave home without my phone, because it goes off like crazy. But yeah, always have my phone on me.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Yeah, probably food or watching Netflix at night.
What's your worst habit?
Worst habit, definitely biting my fingernails. Yeah, just haven't been able to stop that over 27 years.
What really grinds your gears?
Grinds my gears? People who are consistently negative and looking at the bad aspects of their life instead of the positives.
What are you scared of?
Heights, but I have gone skydiving, but heights is still a phobia. Yeah, fear of falling.
What's your dream job?
Lucky enough to be doing it, I believe. Who knows where it'll take me, but just working in the welfare and development aspect of young people.
What's your dream holiday destination?
Love to just travel the world, to be fair. I know it's pretty greedy, but any continent other than Australia. We're very lucky here, but I'd love to see how the other half live.
What food can't you stand?
Tofu isn't great.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes.
Give us your best Get Your Game Face On.
Get your game face on.
Is there something you want from me?
And it is a great pleasure to welcome Brad Sykes from Bonbeach into the studio to talk about, well, the weekend. The war, basically, Brad, it was a disappointing performance, wasn't it? I mean, can you take us through what went wrong?
Yeah, how long have we got? It was a pretty dismal day for Bonbeach across the board. It was great for our reserves to get the win. They've been working really hard with the lack of depth this year. But yeah, the Pines were just bigger, quicker, stronger, smarter, just every facet of football, harder and lower. Yeah, they were just too good on the day for sure.
You're a great club. You've got many sponsors. You work closely with the president, Matt Lowe. You've got great rooms, wonderful initiatives. Are you embarrassed, considering what you've got behind you?
Yeah, a little bit. Like especially last quarter, it reeked of our last quarter against Frankston YCW in the grand final last year. When the game was out of reach, no one stood up, which isn't ideal. But having said that, we are a good club, like you just said, and we will bounce back. We're just a bit undermanned at the moment, but I hate making excuses. I'm not one to do that, and either's Lowy, Hughesy, Trent, all our leaders at the club, Jacko. But we have to bounce back. It's yeah, we can make excuses, but you don't really, you've got to identify them, but you've got to react a lot quicker than we did, and we're pretty embarrassed
So how do you bounce back?
Yeah, well, after a 1-point loss to Mornington before the bye, before the interleague bye, we had a good heart-to-heart and then bounced back really well against Seaford. Played some good footy, albeit maybe they're not up to Pines' standard at the moment, but time will tell, Dan. Like I'm not entirely sure how we will.
Trent Dennis-Lane did play in the end. Should have he played?
Trent, it's been a bit of speculation about Trent. Leading into a bye, I suppose it wasn't a bad option to see how he went. He ended up playing a different role for us on the day, probably because the ball wasn't getting down there as much as we would have liked. But hopefully he pulled up okay with his shoulder. Maybe he should, maybe he shouldn't have. But with our depth at the moment and our a lot of our reserves players retiring last year, and it's made it a little bit tough to bring in another 3 or 4 players from our reserves.
Aaron Edwards kicked 13. We know he's a class act, having played a lot of league footy. How do you stop someone when they're on a hot streak like that?
Let us know. We had a couple of good players on him, some of our best defenders, and sometimes when you get the calibre of Aaron and the ball coming in so well and quickly, and our lack of pressure up the field, as we know, Aaron one-on-one's one of the best in the comp, but if it's lace out, Alex Rance wouldn't have even stopped him. So I think it's important to know it wasn't our key defender's fault at all. It was probably, and having said that, their other forwards were sort of so active that we couldn't be that third man up and help out our defender either. So couldn't stop him, as we could see, and he kicked straight as an arrow.
They dropped their first 4 games, Pines. They won their last 5. Are they realistic premiership contenders?
They were the best team we've played this year. Sereno pantsed us as well. Their brand of footy, strong over the footy kind of football clubs, I think, as we know and as we've heard already about Frankston YC losing 3 on the trot. I think this is the year you want to be up and about. I dare say it'll be Pines will finish in the top 3.
Now, this was a Bonbeach home game on the weekend. We're expecting again the Bonbeach supporters to be out and about. They weren't. They were outnumbered by the Pines supporters.
Yep.
For a home game, how much of a concern is that, considering the proud history of your football club?
Yeah, I suppose playing, I didn't really recognise. I thought the crowd was quiet because we weren't kicking many goals. But after the game, it was pretty evident there was a lot of green and red around the place, and it's a little bit disappointing. We've got some fantastic past players and fantastic people around the club who support us. They've seen some grim times within the club as well, and we're 4 and 5. We're still realistically looking for a top 5 spot, and I've got no doubt when we do get that top end back, we can definitely achieve that. But it is upsetting now that we're not, where we were this time last year, is maybe not getting those extra 30 or 40 supporters who are pretty loyal coming down.
You've been described as the best kick in the comp. Do you agree or disagree?
Bonbeach or me?
You.
Gee whiz. Who by?
I'm a journalist. A journalist never reveals his sources, Brad. You should know that.
Yeah, true, mate. My kicking is good. In turn, there's so many good players around. I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'd pride myself on that. Lately, unfortunately, with a lack of training, just with the welfare stuff I'm doing in sporting clubs, I probably I wouldn't call myself a 9 out of 10 kick anymore. But yeah, definitely the fundamentals of it. I practiced it heaps as a kid, and I definitely like using the ball to the advantage of my teammates. I don't only get it 10 or 15 times. I need to use it well. So, yeah. We
mentioned earlier that you've had a career in the VFL. You played a handful of games at Frankston. You're also at Casey. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about the game of footy by being on the list of those 2 VFL clubs for a long time?
Oh, a hell of a lot. I suppose anyone who's gone to the next level, and even though it wasn't AFL, learning a bit off the Melbourne guys was fantastic. I think a lot of people, there's so many leagues around Australia. What I learnt was that even though you might be one of the better players in your certain league, you start from scratch at a higher level, and the extra work and the things that the coach doesn't see is key. What you do away from the footy club separates you. So the ones that maybe didn't have all the talent in the world who made the highest level, that's because of what they did away from the club, and you've really got to live and breathe footy to be an elite sports person, and some of us did that, some of us didn't, and yeah.
We've just had, I should say, Sir Doug Nicholls round in the AFL, and you played with a couple of well-known Indigenous players at Melbourne, being a Lion to Casey, of course, in Liam Jarrah and Austin Wanamuri. What were they like?
Fantastic. Definitely different in terms of not your typical sort of football culture people, but Liam at the time, this is 2009 and 2010, didn't really speak a breath of English.
That's when he was just taking marks left, right and centre.
I think the next year he took Mark of the Year or something. Yeah, he was. He's an absolute superstar. But he was very spasmodic in the way he played. Some games he wouldn't touch the ball, some days he'd be best on. So it was great. The fantastic players, and that X factor that they had was great to, only played a handful of games with them, but watching them after the reserves game was just fantastic, and good people.
You do a lot for the community outside the game. You're involved in a program called Outside the Locker Room.
Yeah.
Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, so I suppose a fair few people watching knows a bit about OTLR. So we work within sporting clubs around Australia now, working in the education, welfare and support of players and committee and whoever's attached to the football club, wives, girlfriends, cousins, whoever. We just want to help people to reach out, because as a 27-year-old male, before this program, Dan, there's no way I'd seek support for myself if I was struggling. Like, I wouldn't walk into a counsellor off the street. So we're just...
Men generally have hated doing that, haven't they?
Yeah.
Why should we talk about our problems?
Well, my dad's a bricklayer. As you can imagine, tough, sort of don't speak about their emotions, and a lot of us men were probably grew up in households like that. So we're just trying to reduce the stigma. We're losing way too many people on the peninsula to suicide. We are double the state average. 1.9 the state average. After speaking with the Mornington Shire, and it's a bloody great place to live, as we know. And it's just we need to do something else. So we're here to support the players and our communities, and I'm really passionate about it.
Do you feel you're a more positive person being involved in this program?
Yeah, no doubt. Sometimes it does. You do get a lot of people's problems, which is more than happy to do that. I've got a lot of coping strategies that I use to make sure that it doesn't weigh me down. But I've been a positive person most of my life, as my good friends know. So it doesn't really. I always look at the glass half full. Like when you've been asking these negative questions about Pine smashing us, I'm not
ask negative. I know in a positive.
Yeah, I know that. But like a lot of people would just sort of feel that it's doom and gloom. But I know that the leaders at Bonbeach are up and about, and so am I.
Well, the club's in a great space with someone like you leading them and involved as a player. They've obviously got some work to do, but it is just one game. Week's a long time in footy, a day's a long time in footy, 1 minute's a long time in footy. Good luck for the rest of the year. Great to see you involved in all these programs. Good luck with your business. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Division 1 Goal Kickers brought to you by You First Real Estate. Aaron Edwards has catapulted himself to the top after kicking 13 for Pines. He's on 29. Jordan Moncrief, whose father Michael played in 2 premierships at Hawthorn, kicked 2 on the weekend for Mount Eliza in their great win. He's on 28. A 7-goal gap to Trent Dennis Lane at Bonbeach, 1 on the weekend. He's 21. Leaper Holke remains injured from Sorrento. He remains on 21. And Jared Grant starting to find some form for the Frankston Bombers. The former Bulldog and Gold Coast Sun in the AFL booted 6 to move to 20. In the reserves, Michael Chaplin, none on the weekend, remains on 25 for YCW. Tom Loney, none on the weekend, 17 for Seaford. And Jake O'Neill kicked 1 on the weekend. He's on 12 for Edith Vale Aspendale. In the under-19s, Sam Hart leads from Edith Vale Aspendale despite not kicking any. He's on 22. Sam Sturt has 19 from Mount Eliza. Tom Wisniewski kicked 2 on the weekend for Mornington. He has 18. And Josh O'Toole kicked 3 for YCW. He's on 14. Welcome back to the GameFace Footy Show. We'll be telling you the team of the week for Division 1 for the under-19s with Josh Moore in just a second. We went through the under-19 Division 2 team last week. We'll get some feedback on that very shortly. But Josh, just before that, we want to show you something from the weekend from three-quarter time.
Guys lifted, you need to lift again. All right, one-on-one footy. Tempo footy. Slow the ball down if you have to. 30 minutes, right? Exactly. Slow the ball, keep it on our terms, all right? Every single player fights and grind and win this game because no one comes to our ground and takes 4 points off us. No one comes to our ground, as I said before the game. If someone came into your house and was going to take something away from her, do you reckon you would let him do it? No, you would not fucking let him do it. So they don't come to our ground and take our 4 points. Because it's our 4 points. Come on, and we want
You had the guys revved up. I know you didn't have any players on the bench. Obviously, you prepare your speech in regard to the tactics. What about the rev up at the end? Do you prepare that or does that just come in your head?
Yeah, we only get about 5 minutes. So the first 3 or 4 minutes you like to sort of go back over your goals and make sure the boys are on target of how we want to be playing the game. So you sort of do a quick little bit of a review for 3 or 4 minutes there. And the last minute with the rev up is just off the top of the head and just try and get the boys up and about for that last quarter.
Do you always try and come up with something different every match, every quarter?
In terms of the rev up, it is, yeah, certainly. But in terms of the structure and the goals, it's pretty similar each week.
What about you, Chris? I mean, obviously you're very measured when you go through your strategies. Do you give them a spray if you feel they need a spray, or in regard to your rev up, do you get fired up, or do you try and stay about the same level?
I was a little bit more analytical and tried to be more constructive with mine. I'd probably only give them a spray maybe once a month. Otherwise, it falls on deaf ears and they just become used to it, and there's no. It serves no purpose, so it's only pulled out. I think the days of getting out there and spraying them every week are gone. They're done, so there's too much other stuff to worry about. But once in a while, yeah, they need to kick up the backside.
I think you look alike John Longmire, the Sydney Swans. I don't think he gives them much of a spray, does he? He really does look like John Longmire. I'm not sure he's got the same nickname, but he certainly looks like him. Now, Blackers, what about you?
Yeah, I was like Josh. I'd have my little mate Danny Mongan there, and he'd write all my little notes, what I'd see throughout. Yeah, just throughout the quarter, okay. And then I'd have 5 or 6 point notes that we did well or that we didn't do well that we needed to improve on.
Now, Josh, what sort of feedback did you get from your Division 2 team of the week?
There's some interesting stuff in there.
More good, more bad?
I was pretty even.
You would have helped some people out, wouldn't you, Josh?
Oh yeah, well apparently I did. But I was really happy. I checked. The GameFace Facebook page Friday night, and I think there was about 3,000 views. So we certainly are branching out and getting out there. So the more people that can get on there,
and especially that age bracket too, Josh. Sorry to interrupt. That age bracket. And all over GameFace.
And we had our first show last night, last Thursday, boys, at 7 o'clock. And I got upstairs for selection last Thursday at the Rye Footy Club, and we had about 15 to 20 of the younger fellas, the under-19 kids, pull out their Facebook on their phone and had a good look. So that's what it's all about.
It certainly is. Well, let's see if you've made many changes to the... well, let's see. Sorry, we've got, of course, the Division 1 team. So let's see how you've gone this week and what sort of reaction we get over the next 7 days.
Yep, so it's a little bit different this week. Obviously, there's 12 teams in Division 2. There's only 10 teams in Division 1. But actually 9 teams in the under-19s.
Yeah. And Rosebud are really struggling, Josh, aren't they?
Rosebud are struggling, but they've got a couple of kids that are playing in the seniors and a couple of absolute beauties as well. So their under-19s are struggling, but they've put a couple up in their seniors. So
at least they're able to field a team, though.
That's right.
Yeah. So my under-19 Division 1 team of the week for the first 8 or 9 weeks, though, is this. Starting from the back line, we've got Vine, Simmons and Douglas. On the half back line, Smith, Cody Henness, he's been playing a bit of VFL footy, but he's listed at Frankston YCW, so he's certainly a player to look out for. And the
so he's been playing in Frankston Seniors?
Yeah, well, he plays at Frankston Seniors when he's not playing at, did I say Werribee? I meant Footscray. Yes, he's at Footscray VFL. Cody Henness, very good player.
So did Anthony Barry get him across?
Yeah, must have
been the connection, yeah.
And then on the other half-back flank is Josh Harris. So Josh Harris is one of those Rosebud kids, and he's got a big future. He takes all the key forwards in Div 1 in the seniors for Rosebud. He's certainly a player to look out for as well. And we have got that Vic under-19 Vic country game coming up, and I'd suspect that he might get a Guernsey for that one too.
That's great.
Wouldn't that be good in a team that's struggling, that they're able to get a player in the Vic Country under-19 team?
Yeah, it'd be a great effort for him and for Rosebud. Through the centre line, we've got Cox, Bashir and Bold. Half forward line is Bazine, Barrett and Stenning. Stenning's up at the Stingrays at the moment, playing a few games up at the Stingrays, but does play at Bonbeach when he's not playing at the Stingrays. The full forward line is Tom Baker from YC. There's a couple of Tom Bakers out there, but this one's the Frankston YC one. Kobe Villas, the interleague captain, he's at full forward from Frankston Bombers. And Cole Jacobson in the other forward pocket. In the rucks, Mount Eliza will be pretty happy with this because they're all from Mount Eliza. Luke Webster in the ruck, Breen and Small. And then I've got a long 6-man bench. We've got Ingram, Colombo, Hart, Avery, Duff and Ward from EDS.
Now boys, as you know, I'm new to football in this area. It's great being here. Just have a question. Mount Martha have got an outstanding junior program. They've got a couple of #1 draft picks that have gone in recent times.
Mount Martha boy, Dan?
Yes, I've got lots of family friends who are from Mount Martha. Now, Lockie Whitfield and Jacob Wiedering. Do you think, Chris, there will ever be the day where they'll have a senior team, or they're just a very prolific nurturer of junior teams?
I'll actually run... 10 years ago we had a few beers and we were trying to talk about a Mount Martha side. There's one at South Mornington, just got off the ground, but they're playing in amateurs at the moment.
Right.
At the moment, no, and I don't think that the pool of players is there enough to sustain a Mornington and a Mount Martha and a South Mornington. I think that's the issue at the moment. So, but they've definitely got like Hunter Clark this year as well.
Another one.
De Koning will go top 10 probably this year as well. Like, there's a lot that are coming through.
It's
there.
amazing, isn't it? I mean, and to have 2 #1 draft picks in the last 5 or 6 years is a real feather in their cap, Josh, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. As you've said, there's a lot of kids that come through there, and I'm sure there'll be many more in the future as well.
But Dan, just to interrupt, like there's a big push for Cranbourne to come into our competition, and what I've always said is that if we're going to have another division, we need to have a lesser division. Yeah. So then the South Morningtons, Karen Patterson Lakes, who were Karen were in our competition for a long time, and then we could have another competition with the lower teams in that, and that means that a Mount Martha South Mornington could come into that competition.
A lot of new footy clubs often start the amateurs, don't they? D1, D2 or D3, particularly D3, and sort of work their way up, which I think is a great way of going before they go to their local competition. Thanks very much, Chris. Thanks, Josh. Great to have you with us. We'll catch you again next week. Good luck on the weekend, Josh. As you said, a massive game against Chelsea. You've lost 2 narrow ones. You need to obviously get on the right side of the ledger this week to stay in touch with the top 5. We'll take a quick break. Blackers will stay here, and we'll have boxing royalty in the house next with the great Barry Michael. Division 1 Best Players brought to you by Syes for Sport. Greg Bentley, Rosebud on 33 from Sean Downey of Rosebud on 30. Matt Teresh of Seaford on 27. Paul Scanlon, the veteran from Pines on 27. And Brett O'Hanlon from Edithvale Aspendale making up the top 5 on 26. In the reserves, Ben Sharman, Frankston Bombers leads on 31. Shane Cochran of Bonbeach, 27. Luke Black of Frankston YCW, 26. Also, Jarrah Douglas from Bonbeach on 26. And Jacob Beggs of Pines on 24. The top 5 in the under-19 best after 9 rounds. Lyndon Varker, Seaford, 29. Tom Baker, YCW, 27. Nick Sakalis of Rosebud, 26. Mitchell Sharrar of Rosebud, 26, and Carl Duff of Seaford on 24. Time now for our segment on the Footy Show, talking about the No Regrets boxing bout, which is coming up in November, and we're looking forward to it, no doubt. And we've been lucky enough this week to have a few more players put their hands up. Great to have Barry Michael with us, former world champ. He's about to head to Vegas. He's got the big fight that he's going to be broadcasting on the main event. Jeff Horn against Crawford. G'day, Baz. Good to have you with us again.
G'day, Dan. Great to be here, mate. And I'm really looking forward to our No Regrets Boxing Challenge November the 2nd. And I'm also really looking forward to heading to Vegas on Wednesday to call the Horn-Crawford fight at the MGM Grand.
And you're with the great Eddie Maguire. Now, do you reckon he would be good enough? He's a great bloke, Eddie. I know him pretty well from my time in the media. And he is always up for doing things, isn't he? Do you think he'd say, get your game face on for us next week?
I reckon it's a certainty. Eddie and I have sparred. I've sparred Eddie a couple of hundred rounds over the last 20 years, and we haven't worked together for quite a while. But Eddie holds his hands up pretty well, loves boxing, knows what he's talking about, and he will say, get your game face on.
And I believe, just before Tone asked you a question, he's not bad in the ring.
No, Eddie goes all right. I'll tell you now, one morning...
He probably needed to learn to fight being where he grew up.
Well, exactly. He loves telling you that too, Tone, doesn't he? The Broady boy.
We were sparring one morning, and I'd had a fairly heavy night, and I got Eddie. Usually, what I do is get him to throw punches at me, and then catch him.
Work it out.
Then I say, have a go at me. And this particular morning, because I've been showing him some stuff, he threw a jab to the body, hit me flush on the chin with a right hand, and it shook me a bit. And he went, "Oh, sugar." A bit more than that it was, but he goes, "Oh, don't hit me, Baz, you can have the BMW." And that's a true story, and we've done that a couple of times. But he's a ripper bloke, Ed, and I'm looking forward to getting over there.
Did you get the BMW?
No.
No, he's got a Mercedes, mate.
Yeah. No, he had a BMW then. It's a long time ago. It's a good 15
Hey,
years
Dan,
ago.
do you think that now that Barry's going over to Las Vegas, that you and I would be going over there to commentate it as well?
Oh, yeah,
as a camera crew and all that sort of stuff?
That'd be great if we could organise that, Tom.
Yeah.
Well, I've never been to Las Vegas. I've been to a lot of parts of America, but never been to Las Vegas. How many times have you been there, Baz? It is the home of boxing, isn't it?
It's about my 5th trip, I think, and what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
So, Baz, what sort of money would a fellow like Horn get for this fight?
For this fight, Bob Arum, the greatest promoter in history, signed Jeff Horn a couple of years ago, and for this fight, he's getting $2.5 million, and I think that's
US dollars.
I think that's US dollars. But look,
and if he was to win this fight,
Tony, he'd be on. If he beats Crawford, because the Americans aren't giving him a chance, and I do give him a very strong chance, because he's a lot better fighter than the Americans think, and he can adapt. He's got a very strong mind. He's very powerful. But if he happens to beat Crawford, I would imagine he'd be on 10 million a fight, at least. He'll be on huge money. He'll be regarded as undoubtedly the best pound-for-pound welterweight in the world.
So $2.5 million, it sounds like a lot of money, but it's not a lot when you look at it, is it?
Well, these days it's not a lot of money, I guess, when you look at the price of properties and that in Victoria or Australia. But and then he'll have to pay tax on that. He'll have to pay management. But it's still going right. It's still a great earn for a young boy who's what is he now? He's about 28, I think. Jeff. His wife just had their first child, and fantastic story. And I wish him all the best. And I know he's a very smart kid, and he'll look after his money, which is great.
Now, why is Bob the best promoter?
Bob Arum, he's good question actually. He was a lawyer. He was a New York lawyer, I think, Bob Arum. But he got into boxing way back, promoting Muhammad Ali, and he's promoted some of the greatest fights in history. And I've dealt with Bob. I've known him for 35 years. I actually signed a world title fight contract with him back in '83, I think it was, which never occurred because I collapsed in Miami with a heel injury. That's another story. And I saw Bob last year before the Horn Pacquiao fight, and at 87, his memory is incredible.
87?
87, yeah. Wow. He's remarkable.
Now let's look at our No Regrets boxing bout coming up in November. We had 3 last week that said they were more than keen to get involved, but we've added another 4. Great. And we chatted to them during the week.
The No Regrets Boxing Challenge with the great Barry Michael. I've seen the No Regrets Challenge. Do you fancy yourself, Chad?
Yeah, I'll join in. I think a few of the Sunny boys, me and Westerman had a bit of banter last year, so if he wants to come out, I'm happy to.
I hear, Mitch, you're pretty good in the ring.
Growing up, I had a few bouts, yeah. I don't know about good or whatnot. I'm still undefeated, but if anyone wants to go in the ring, have a bit of fun. It's all for a good cause also, a charity event. So, look, I'm happy to throw my hand up.
If anyone can beat Mitch, I'll say it to the camera, if you can beat Mitch in a round of boxing, I'll personally hand you $500 cash.
This young man is one of the one of your footballers who put his hand up to have a free 2-minute round fight. Exhibition, it'll be with you know, bigger gloves, but I think I've asked you before, you haven't actually picked anyone that you would like to have a crack at?
And I don't think I will for a little bit. If anyone was going to do it, I'm sure a few people want to hit my head, so so I'll take one for the team.
I wouldn't want to single anyone out, but I reckon one bloke that might want to get even with me after being reported a couple of weeks ago might be Goalkicker from Sorrento. So we'll see whether he's interested. He might want to get a little bit of touch back on me. So we'll see how we go.
Lee, you can.
It's just boxing. There's a bloke from Pines that I wouldn't mind getting back, but I'm not sure how he's going to go with just hands. But yeah, you know, I don't know. Bongo, is it Tom? Tim? Yeah, I think I read something last night that you might be interested. If you can, you know, if you can just use your hands, buddy, maybe we could work something out.
So the numbers continue to add up and continue to increase. Tim Bongetti of Pines, he called out Lee Paholke. Paholke is accepted, and we know that Matty Clark from Edith Vale Aspendale, Baz, is ready to go as well. Mitch Hallahan of Sorrento, Chad Harris of Sorrento, and I believe Mitch Hallahan, the former Gold Coast and Hawthorn player, played 26 senior games, can go a bit.
Good to hear. I'm sure a lot of these guys will, you know how to hold their hands up, especially by November. That's great to hear.
Hey Baz, off air you said, where's Edie Asp? And I said to you it was Edith Vale Aspendale, and that's where Gerard Healy came from. And you got a bit of a story about
I have. God, how many years ago now? About probably 1980 or maybe before. The great Ron Barassi got me to come down and train with the Melbourne players, and I sparred Jared and I sparred Mark Jackson, a lot of other players. And
was Jacko Jackson there at the time, was he?
Yeah, and I was sparring with Jared and we were body punching. He was supposed to be just body punching, and he stepped back and he cracked me flush on the chin with the right hand, and he could punch, Jared, and really nice guy, and he said, "Oh, sorry mate, you know, sorry." It was supposed to be body punching, but yeah. Good.
Did you have a go back?
No, just just a bit of a mistake, one of those things, you know.
Very good. Well, we look forward to adding more to this magnificent occasion which is coming up in November. It is the No Regrets boxing event, organised of course by GameFace. And Baz, we'll hear from you next week. Have a great time at Las Vegas, and may the best man win, as long as it's Jeff Horn, and we'll speak to you next week.
Thanks very much, Dan. Thanks, Tone.
No worries, Baz.
Well, that's just about it for another GameFace Footy Show. But before we go, gentlemen, we'd better look at what's a cracking round of footy over the Queen's birthday weekend.
Which is the most important. We need the tips.
Well, we do need the tips.
Yeah.
And, of course, we would love to get a reaction from everyone who has managed to download the GameFace app. And those that are keen on doing it, please do it. And we'd love to get your reaction, your views on our tips. Not so much mine, because I can't tip my hat. And I'm still getting to know the competition, and even if I did know the competition, like my AFL tips, they'd be hopeless. But you guys are our learned gentlemen here, so it's important that we try and get as many right as possible.
Do Division 1 first, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely do Division 1. There's a massive game, isn't it?
No bigger game than Sorrento and YC. You know, we talked about it during the whole pre-season, and this time it's down at Shark Park. And I think what's going to happen is that the table's going to be reversed. I think that Sorrento will win, and I think that they'll win quite comfortably against YC this week, Josh.
Completely agree. I think, yeah, they're the form team in the competition. Sorrento, all their big guns are up and going. Although they've got a few injuries, I think they're ready to go and ready to turn the tables.
A big crowd. It's a long weekend.
Yeah, they set themselves for well, every home game at Sorrento is a big one for them. They've got their luncheon that they have, and there'll be plenty of Sorrento people getting down there to support their boys. Yeah,
I think Sorrento will win. Mount Eliza and Frankston Bombers. Good win by Mount Eliza.
Yeah, great win. And Mount Eliza haven't beaten YC for a long time, so it was great for them to be able to do that. I don't think there'll be much in it, but I think Mount Eliza are playing some really good football, and I think at home they might just get over the line.
I'm going for my mate Spindles to kick a bag full, and Hulks to pick him in his team of the week next week.
Oh, that'll be good.
Jared Grant, of course, for the Bombers to just beat Mount Eliza.
I'm with you, Dan. I think the Bombers will get up. I did see that Bo Muston reported in the local media during the week that they're starting to hit their straps and playing much better footy this time of year than they did at the start. Although I do like the way Mount Eliza are going about their business at the moment. I think the Bombers in an upset.
It won't be an upset, because 6 points round one. Mount Eliza and Frankston have been in every game. It doesn't matter who they've played; they've been in every game.
And Mount Eliza's up to second on the ladder, sitting second. So
that's They lost a lot of players in the off season, Dan. More experienced players. They've gone with the youth. They've got a really good junior development program. So it's a credit to them.
It's going to be a massive battle to see who finishes 5th. So the Bombers just need to keep staying in touch.
Well, the Bombers do need to keep winning because Pines are now the informed side of the competition.
How good's this app, by the way? How good's this app? Just keep looking at it.
Sensational. You just got to keep pressing one button, Tone, as we teach it, and it'll stay on. It won't go black for you. It's only
Rosebud and Mornington play Rosebud at home this week. Rosebud beat Mornington round one. Mornington as a side, they're slowly getting their players back. It was probably
they're not a bottom team, are they?
No. And it was probably a disappointing effort for Rosebud last week. They really did get touched up by the Bombers.
Coming off the big win against YC.
Yeah, so they had a letdown. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think Mornington at home, I think they're starting to hit their straps a little bit because they led all day against YC and didn't get the job done. So Mornington for mine in that.
Yeah, I think Mornington, the Dogs.
Yeah, I was at the first game that they played, Mornington versus Rosebud at Rosebud earlier in the year. Mornington pretty much didn't have a bench after half time. They were savaged by injury that day, as they have been, but they're starting to get their players back. And I think the second half of the year, I think Mornington will be the big improvers.
Edithvale, Aspendale hosting Bonbeach. Last throw of the dice for Bonbeach, isn't it?
Well, it is. And last time this game, round one, Edithvale won by 7 goals, but Bonbeach got the points.
Of course, that's right, and there will be no
love lost.
No love lost at all between the two coaches, Graham Yates and Hughes. Maybe not so much Steve Hughes. It'll be more Graham Yates, I think.
Yeah, but Hughes has got every right to check what's going on, and if he doesn't think that the points are lining up.
How did he know though?
Well, he might have gone through that and evaluated what he thought was the correct points.
Edithvale Aspendale said they went about it the right way. And they said they had it ticked off.
Well, they are appealing it, aren't they?
Yes, they are appealing it.
Yeah.
So I would think they'll be seeking retribution. They were pretty good last week down at Sorrento and they went far away. So I think they'll win and win comfortably.
I think they will.
Too many injuries.
Yeah.
And Seaford up against Pines. Seaford poor, Pines flying. I think the Pines will win.
Did Seaford win this one, round one?
They did, because they lost their first 4 games at Pythons.
Yes.
Yeah. The big question will be who's going to play on Aaron Edwards after kicking big bag last weekend.
And this is at the St Kilda club rooms where the St Kilda facilities are, down there in Seaford there. So it'll be a neutral venue really. I think that the open space will suit the Aaron Edwardses.
I think the Pines.
No, they're going really well. They won 5 in a row. Let's look at second division. Crib Point hosting Pearsdale. 2 teams really struggling. Toss of the coin here, boys.
Well, it is. I think Crib Point 2 weeks ago won a really close game at home. They beat Devon Meadows. Yeah, which was really good. And all they wanted to do last week was be a little bit more competitive. I think Chelsea won quite easily there. Pearsdale, they didn't do very well against Red Hill last week at home.
No, I think they've really struggled against the better teams, Pearsdale, but I think certainly both teams are going to the match thinking that they can win, and I think just being at home, I think Crib Point purely for that reason.
Hastings hosting Langwarrin, probably Langwarrin's last chance to be in final contention. Jesse obviously going well, but Hastings going pretty well.
Yeah, they certainly need to, and you know, we talked earlier that Sean Foster, a couple of broken ribs and maybe a punctured lung, he definitely won't play unless he wears that inflated vest that Dermot wore when he kicked 9 that day, or 10 or 11.
And I don't think Fozzie will be doing that, Blackers. I think Fozzie will be coached up in his
bed. I do. Look, I don't think that you should play. I mean, it's up to the doctors to say absolutely not.
Yeah.
For the safety of the player. I mean, the game's changed at all levels, I think.
I think it's a really important game for Langy. At home, Hastings are always good, but the big open space is going to suit Langy.
Your team at home, 2 home games in a row, as you say. We do not lose at home. You lost narrowly last week. I won't remind you too much of that, but you take on Chelsea, who are a pretty good side, aren't they, Josh? How do you beat them?
Well, I've done a lot of vision on the tape because we haven't played Chelsea before. Haven't played them this year, and
they're not familiar faces, are they, Josh?
No, not at all. So we really had to do our homework during the week, but I really do think it's a chance for us to respond after last week. We were pretty devastated after that loss to Summy last week, so I know the boys are really keen to respond, and I'll tip Rye to get the points this week.
How many of those you had no interchange on in the last quarter, Josh, or from half time? How many of those blokes got up?
3 out of the 4 won't be playing this week, so yeah, we've had to change the team up quite a bit. But we do get Harry Whitty back, who was out suspended last week, so that's a massive in for us. But yeah, we certainly have had to change up the side a little bit, but yeah, I'm really confident we can get the job done.
So it should be a really interesting match to see if Rye can beat Chelsea. Tyab and Devon Meadows, the Yabbies are battling. Devon Meadows not going all that well either, so do you give Tyab a chance at home?
Wonderful effort by Dimkos last week. He kicked 5 out of 7, Dan. Theodorus kicked quite a few last week for Devon, who's a big, powerful forward. So whether Tyab have got somebody who can stop Theodorus, Fletcher, you know, they've still got some good players. I think Murray, he mightn't have been playing the last couple of weeks either. So it's a massive game for Devon because their form has really dropped away. Tyab would see this as an opportunity for a big win.
And the thing is, Tyab only won 1 game last year, and it was against Devon Meadows. So they will certainly think with the pre-season that they've had and a couple of wins under their belt, they'll think they're a good chance. Similar to Crib Point versus Pearcedale, Tyab and Devon will both go in thinking that they're going to win. But I think Devon will get this one.
I think they will too. Sunday, it's good there's some Sunday football. Should there be more Sunday football?
Yes and no. I think it's because it's a long weekend.
Yeah.
Queen's birthday weekend. You have the Monday off. You know, usually you've got to get up and go to work. So, but Red Hill and Dramana, they play for the Bluey Home Shield. It's a wonderful opportunity for Red Hill up on their home deck. Last week, Chris Irving came back into the side. Hasn't played since early in the season. They had multiple goal kickers. Shawnee Marchetti, he kicked 4. John O'Ross kicked 4, and I think there's a lot of goal kicking power there. But you know, Dramana have been really solid all year.
Dramana's been red hot, and I think the ground up at Red Hill will suit Dramana. They're a really quick, free-flowing, running sort of a team. So are Red Hill, so it's going to be a great match-up.
Red Hill need to have a big scalp, and I think this could be one of them.
Coringal and Somerville to complete the round. Now, Coringal are going well. They've only lost 1 game. Somerville have won their last 2. Obviously, Josh, as coach of Rye, you want Somerville to lose that, and you guys have a win to give you some breathing space, but Somerville would take confidence into this game.
Yeah, they will, but I think they'll be out.
Everett won't play.
Andreas Everett will be out this week, which is a massive blow for them, but he can just coach from the sidelines and get that job done properly. But I think Coringal, once again, home ground advantage. I really do think Coringal played the home ground really well, and I'll back them in to win.
Coringal for me. Yeah. Good on you, boys. Thanks very much. It's been great to have you part of the show. Make sure you download the show as part of the GameFace app. Our second show as we get ready for another big round of footy after what was an outstanding round last weekend. Make sure you enjoy your footy and may the best team win. Get you next week. Get your GameFace on too.